I'll watch the watch 2 of the tier list later today. Nice, love, yeah. Alright, so of course we got Bob, who's in even, um, which I thought, yeah, okay. Let's just first put what I think, and then we can later discuss it, right? So I think Akuma is, of course, the good matchups is like good for Bob, and the bad matchups is like bad for Bob, you know. So I think Bob versus Akuma is actually a good matchup because um, Bob has a lot of evasion in his like high evasion. So therefore, his jabs and Akuma's jabs won't work as well. I also feel like, as I've experienced, that it's like harder for Akuma to hit Bob with down three to combo than it would normally be. I don't know if it's a hitbox thing, but I also feel like Bob has like really high moves, which can be very good for anti-air against Akuma. And then Bob has like again, like he has a lot of reach, so therefore it's like super hard for, I feel like it's super hard for Akuma to get in. So yeah, I think it's a good matchup for Bob. Not a godlike, but a good matchup. And then, but of course, like it's Akuma, so oh, who are we judging? Okay. Who else? Then I'll say Brian is even. Maybe good matchup because of punishment. He only has 1-4. He of course has 4-3, but 4-3 isn't like a good punish at all, in my opinion. So I would say like it's super hard for Brian to punish Bob. Normally, I feel like you have to be really good with Brian in order to win against Bob. So yeah, I would say it's a good matchup for Bob. Also, Bob has like a lot of panic moves. Like Power Crush is like super good against Brian. So yeah, which is 15 frames, so therefore he can basically not counter hit him. And Brian's slow sound very good, so therefore it would be like much easier for Bob to play against. So yeah, Lee, I would say, is a even matchup because before I would say it was a good matchup in season 1, or but since season 2, then I think Lee's like become very good. You could also say it's a bad matchup because I really feel like here it really depends on the player when it becomes even or bad matchup. But if we take like the highest level, I feel like it's maybe a bad matchup because Lee got like super good lows, like down 3 to counter hit launch you. He got amazing keep out, which is like super hard for Bob to go in. Of course, Bob has a lot of range, but so does Lee with his keep out. Like back 4 is like stupidly good this season. So yeah, I feel like it's somewhat bad matchups, but also feel like it can be even matchups. All right, let's see. I would say Hihachi is a good matchup because Hihachi doesn't have good lows, which therefore is like he like generally like he doesn't have good lows, so therefore it's pretty good. You don't really have to duck with him. You can react to down back too. Yeah, I feel like Hihachi's pressure is easily can be avoided with Bob's evasive tools like backswing blow and power crush. I know I'll bring up power crush. Bob's power crush is like stupidly good and stupidly underrated. So yeah, another character who's also a good matchup, I would say. Well, let's see, where is he? Let's see, here he is. I would say this is a good matchup as well. For Bob, because Bob has like a lot of, even a Steve main who actually once told me, I think it was Doc from, I don't want to say names, but I think it was Doc from Paris or something, where he once said, or was it free? No, it was Friesen, the Polish Steve main, who once told me like Bob is like a pretty good matchup in his live stream, like because for Bob, because Bob has a lot of high evasion. His Rising 2 has some evasion, high evasion, even though it's a wall rising move, then it got like more evasion than it normally, like no other wall rising launchers would have. And of course, Bob had actually somewhat of a of a option select against Steve's peekaboo stance with power crush, where the only option for Steve to do against his power crush is to do peekaboo forward down 2, down 1. Down 2 actually doesn't work, but down 1 and his 1+2 break. 1+2 throw, sorry. So therefore I feel like Steve, not because of power cut, but because Bob has like really good range and a lot of high evasion, which is bad for Steve. I therefore feel like it's a good matchup for Bob. Let's see. I feel like Gigas is like a godlike matchup because Bob has like insane range. And Gigas also has it, but therefore it doesn't become an advantage for Gigas. Gigas doesn't have fast counter hits. He has though back 1+2, I think. He's 13 frame, which is good, but I feel like you have to do like a lot of work for Gigas to win. Also down back 2, and Gigas down back 2 is launch punishable for Bob. It's -14, so that's like super good. And just overall, I think Bob can move way better against Gigas, just flat walking, backdashing, and therefore Bob's range is like super good. So therefore, it wouldn't be like a problem to go into Gigas with his jabs. So I feel like that's a like super good matchup. Always when I play against the Gigas, I somewhat win. And not somewhat, I always win. Even it doesn't matter against the player. The player has to be like godlike against me to win. So yeah, I really do feel like that's an unfair matchup. Let's also take the unfair matchups, the godlike matchups, who are like pretty obvious since season 1. Eddie, because Bob can launch Eddie from like every stance he's in. So therefore it's like super, like Eddie's never safe in those stances. Bob has a lot of range, which isn't good against Eddie. And again, like Bob can just float Eddie anytime. So I also feel like that's and Bob has a fast wall rising launcher, which is like pretty good, and it also has a very low hitbox, his wall rising launcher, which means he can actually combo off it with a float from his stances, Eddie stances. So therefore, it's like Bob is like super good anti strat against Eddie. You even see season 2 or season 3 where Ulsan would pick Bob against players like Eddie, or not players, but characters like Eddie, and also another character, Feng. I do also see that you can find videos about it where Ulsan specifically he really loves Kazumi. So, but when he picks Bob, it really means something. So he picks Bob against Feng. He picked it against Yamusa Yu, I think he's called, the Feng player from Japan. And I could really see how unfair it was because Feng has really bad range in general. So there he has to get really close, and that's a problem for Bob. Not problem for Bob, it's an advantage for Bob because Bob has such a great range. So therefore it will also be very hard for Feng to launch punish him because his fastest launch is like forward, and it's actually down forward 3, I think, Feng's, but like it has terrible range. So therefore I think it's forward 3, which is 21 frames. So there, and like generally Feng doesn't have good range. He has to be really close, which isn't a problem for Bob. He can just keep him out. So yeah, I feel like Bob is like super good, and Bob's off-roll 1+2 is like super good against Feng because Feng has like very good recovery and would like sometimes to whiff from range 3 to 4 or from range 2.5 or something like that. So therefore Bob can like easily punish him with forward 2 and with CD2 or CD3 4 or up forward 1+2 1+2. So I would say it's pretty good. Even down back 3+4. Let's just see, is the camera okay? It's good. Let's see next character. And of course, if anyone likes to say something different about this so far, then please let me know. Let's see. Ganryu, I think also that's a good matchup. I'll actually say it's got like matchup for Bob because Bob has like again it's the same scenario with Feng because Ganryu doesn't have good range. Of course, Ganryu has forward 2, but which is -12. He has forward 1+2, which is like -14, I think. with pushback, of course. But like generally speaking, like Genry doesn't have a lot of range, so that like Fang, so therefore it's like very ideal for Bob to play against, where you just can keep on punish him from very long distance and keep him out from distance. So that's a pretty good matchup for a godlike matchup against Ganryu. Let's see, Martok I would say is a good matchup because Bob is pretty good being offensive, and I feel like against Martok, because he doesn't have the best panic tools and he doesn't have the best movement, therefore it would be like pretty good to actually attack against Martok a lot. It is pretty successful against good Martok players I've played against. To just be on their face, because then they'll not be able to do ultimate tackle, which is like the very purpose of playing. Ultimate tackle is like pretty insanely good. You just have to look at JDCI versus Joe Fury to see how good ultimate tackle is. So keeping a lot of the being very up close makes so that they can't actually use ultimate tackle a lot, and their movement isn't very great. Martok's movement isn't very great, so yeah, I'll say it's a big advantage. Not big advantage, but it's a good matchup. Julia, I feel like it's a bad matchup. Could actually also be worse. Just a second. Oh, all right, that was just a quick phone call. Let's just get back to where we were at. So I feel like Julia, um, it's a pretty bad matchup. I'm not sure if it's bad matchup, if it's worst matchup. I'm kind of like, but because Julia, of course, Bob can actually launch her full crouch for free now, which is minus 17. He can actually launch punish it now, but I still think though that she has like insane range, and her forward one is like super good against Bob. So and her loss is also pretty good. So I feel like it's like a very hard matchup for Bob. You could also argue that it's a bad matchup for Bob, but I'll keep it here for now. Let's see. I would say this is an even matchup because she's generally very safe, but she's also generally not scary with her pokes. She does she's just there to actually just poke you out. Of course, playing Alyssa is like why play Alyssa if you have pair characters doing what she does. Um, that's also why I don't see her a lot in tournaments, even though she's good. But like there's better play like Safina. She's exactly like Safina, but Safina is like 10 times better than her. So, but of course she's like very safe, so it would be hard to punish her. Um, Bob got very good range against her, but I still feel like it's even. So yeah. Um, let's see. Negan used to be before a bad matchup because he couldn't Bao couldn't launch punish his power crush, his launching power crush, which isn't like the bad idea. That's not why, but because Nick is like super good at offense, he got a tracking jab and a very good down foot one and like very good poke. So it's like pretty hard to play against him with Bob, because he was generally like that safe and had good range. But now in season 4 with the buff Bob got, I feel like it's an even match because of CD1 or forward 4, down 2-3, not down 2-1. So yeah, let's see. I feel like that's a bad matchup. Devil Jin, it could also be worse matchup. But for now it's here. It would be worse matchup if it was season 3, but I feel like it's a bad matchup in season 4 because Bob now got CD3, which is the equivalent of electric. Bob's CD1 even recovers like 3 frames faster than electric. So, but that's because it wasn't a electric before. So it would be fine if it recovered like that, if it was only a counter hit screw like it used to be. But because it's a launcher now, then it's like problematic that it only recovers at -21 at width. So I feel like the buffs he got with 15 frame launcher, CD1, and down to 3 really makes so that it's not worst anymore, but it's still a bad matchup. You could argue that it would be an even matchup, but for now it's just a bad matchup. Maybe I'll change it later. I don't know. Let's see. Safina, I feel like it's an even matchup, even though she got godlike movement. And I feel like it's even because of Bob's low moves. Not low moves, sorry. I mean Bob's low hitting mids, and just like forward 2, back 2, down forward once, down back 3, and Bob's tracking, which is like pretty good. So yeah, I even got Kalak one. He asked me to play a lot of sets with him, with his Safina, like many days against him, because he wanted to be very sure to play against Bob, to have a good feeling playing against Bob. So that kind of tells you that even when he was a Safina main at that point in time, then he was kind of like, okay, I want to be like really good against Bob, because he felt like Bob was like really good against Safina. I don't want to put her in good matchups because her movement is like so good. So I'll just put her in even. But you could argue it's like here if there was a middle row here, but I'll put it on even. Next character I would say is Anna. I feel like Anna's a good matchup because her range isn't like the best. Of course, you got godlike mix-ups, which is like super good. She's like super good in season 4, with her actually being able to mix you up from range 2.3 with a mid launcher or low launcher now, which is like super crazy. But I feel like I don't. She could easily also be here, but I feel like it's more in Bob's favor because of range. Next character we have. Say this is even matchups. Armor King. There's nothing really special which about Armor King or Bob. Of course, Armor King a bit weaker, but I don't feel like Bob has any advantage because of that. I just feel like it's even. Next character we got is Asuka. I feel like she's a good matchup for Bob because because she's like her back 3 is -18, which Bob can always launch with down back 1+2, and he can also launch punish her 2-3 2-3, sorry, which is -18 with pushback, and also her forward 2, which is like -18 or 19 on block. So I feel like Bob can actually able to actually do launch punishable. Of course, he got his 50 frame launches now, which doesn't matter, but of course his 50 frame launcher wouldn't hit something like back 3 or 2-3, I think. So yeah, and he also got a lot of he got some headbutts. He got a belly and knees, which is like good against a character with parries, so that's pretty good on reversals. Next up is Claudio. I feel like that's a even matchup. It could also be on a bad matchup because you won't really be using Wall Rising 2-1 a lot. and maybe at all, because he's pretty safe with his side step 2, but you can also use it with down back 4 free, which is of course launch punishable for every character. But I don't feel like there's any advantages Bob really has against the Claudio, other than his range. But Claudio also has good range, so it could also be even. But I'll put it on bad matchup. So yeah, I'll put it on bad. Let's see, next character. Let's actually put him on even, but Dragonov is a bad matchup, I feel like, because Dragonov got down to, which is like so annoying against Bob. And Bob, before, if it was season 1 Bob and season 2, we would put this on West, because Bob really just got a War Rising 4, which was like 16 damage at the time. Now, of course, he has 20 damage in season 3, so therefore I would say it's very much helped him. But also his CD1 and down to 3 and down to 1 and even off forward 4 really helps him Bob in this matchup. You could also argue that it's an even matchup, but I feel like down 2 and I would actually say it's even now. In season 4 is even because of CD1. It's like that good CD1. So yeah. Eliza, I would say it's even as well. Bob doesn't really. It's like a Kumra again, where she has sometimes a hard time to do down 3 on Bob. She can be very unsafe, where Bob can do War Rising 2-1 a lot. But yeah, I feel like it's even. I don't feel like there's any advantage to either player, but maybe I'm wrong. For Kumra, I would say it's a good matchup because Bob can launch punish down 4, which is minus 16. He can also punish down back 4, which is minus 14 specifically, and he can punish it every time Bob, so that's like very good. So and Bob also got a lot of range, which is good to counter against Fakumran, because Fakumran got a lot of range. So yeah, I feel like 442 really helps a lot against Fakumran, even CD1. So yeah, I'll say it's a good matchup. Let's see, next character. I feel like that's a bad matchup. Geese versus Bob. I feel like it's a bad matchup because Geese is overall like. Of course, Bob can launch punish Geese down 2, but like it's Geese down 2 like super quick, so it's not something you can react to at all. What else can you punish? I don't feel like there's any advantage for Bob. I feel like it's pretty easier for Geese to do 2-1, 2 forward 1, sorry, on Bob than it would be other characters. Geese also got decent punishment against Bob, so yeah. I would say it's kind of bad matchup, but it's not so much because of advantages, especially on Bob. It's more because of just how stupid good Geese is. Next character is Horang. Bob got War Rising 2-1, which is like super good against Horang's down 3-4, down 3-4, and against docking strings pretty quickly to launch them. That's pretty ideal. It works a lot. Bob also got some good panic moves against Horang, which could be hard for him. So, for example, I don't know the notation specifically, but there's a stance where he does like forward 2 or something. It's like a mid punch, where he can where the string is also like forward 2-1. There you can kind of option select it with a power crush. So maybe it could also be a bad matchup. I would maybe say it's a bad matchup for Horang, but a good one for Bob. Next character, I would say it's Jack. I would say it's even because Bob and Jack both have great range. Down forward 2 is like super good against Bob, against Jack. Of course, Bob can consistently punish things which other characters can't, which is like pretty good. Like forward 1+2 or down 1+2. So yeah, or not debugger, but like the wind godfist, like the half circle one, which is like -19. He can punish it. He has like a lot of pushback. He can always punish it, Bob. Even moves like down forward 1 2 1 2 1 2, which does a lot of pushback. Bob can punish it. So generally, Bob got like super good range, but so does Jack. So I feel like it's even. But it also could be in a good matchup for Bob because of CD1 and other moves. So I would maybe say this it's a good matchup for Bob. Jen, I would say it's even. You could actually also say it's a bad matchup for Bob because of CD1, no, because of 4-4, pretty good. Yeah, he also got general good punishment. He's pretty safe in general. He doesn't lack range or anything, so I would say it's actually a bad matchup for Bob, how safe he is. And his parries can parry a lot of things. For example, if he does parry into off forward 1+2, then he doesn't really have to guess the it's not a mix of it because it's a high mid, off forward 1+2 4 and up forward 1+2 1+2, but you don't have to guess there because the off forward 1+2 1+2 is -17, and the off forward 1+2 4 is 0 to -1 unlock. So therefore it'd be like really good to just parry both options, because then you can launch both options. So you don't have to for example block the 4, because then you're on 0 to -1, which isn't ideal. So he just have like some of Bob's strings moves. You just can option select with parry, but that goes for a lot of characters. Of course, he can do that, but I feel like it's pretty good against Bob. Josie, I would say, is an even matchup because of her quick not panic tools, but her fast counter hits, and her down forward 4, which is like super good against Bob. I would just say like she also has great range in general. Her jab is like pretty good, so I would say it's pretty even. She got down 4, which is like super good against Bob. So, but I also say Bob has like great range, so therefore I think it's pretty even. Katsurina, would I say, is actually a good luck matchup because Bob is like one of the few characters who can actually punish all her good lows, like down forward 3+4, which of course is reactable. I think it's barely reactable at 23 frames or 24 frames, but Bob can always punish it with Wall Rising 2-1. The same goes for her forward crouch, down forward 1, not down forward 4, which of course many characters can punish, but Bob got Wall Rising 2-1, which is like super good, and her full crouch down forward 4, it has some, can even evade stick jab, so some Wall Rising launchers won't actually hit. So Bob's is like hits pretty low, so that's pretty good for him. So I feel like it's pretty good against Katsurina, and also generally how bad she is. I think she's one of the worst characters this season, maybe the worst character this season. Like there's nothing going good for her. Even her Harrier stance like pretty bad. I think you could just sidestep left duck, and you avoid all the mix-ups, which is crazy. So they should, if they want to make Harrier a thing, they should have given her a homing move in Harrier stance, but that's too much, you know. So I feel like she isn't very good at all now. Kazumi, also because of Bob buffs, which makes so it's harder for Carrion to play against. Kazuya, I would say it's a bad matchup because of Bob doesn't generally have anything to launch punish with his Raw Rising 2-1, because he got a lot of range. His electric is amazing, of course. Hell sweep 4-4-3, which maybe can be a bit harder for Bob to step than a normal character with normal sidestep would. Bob has generally a little bit worse sidestep, so yeah. I feel like it's a bad matchup for Bob. Let's see, we can also put Diligent here, I feel like, but I would say CD1 really helps Bob a lot, so it could be here, but I don't know. I want to put some characters here in worst, so yeah, let's just do it. Kazumi, I would say it's a bad matchup because of how safe she is, of course. Of course, she's nerfed to the oblivion right now, but she's still super safe. and she was super hard to play against with Bob. So yeah, I would say she's a bad matchup for Bob. But if it was, of course, if it was season 1 or season 2, then she would be here because down forward 1-2 was legit a strat against Bob because Bob would only do 13 frame, doesn't have a 13 frame, but only his wall standing 4, which only did 16 damage. So you could just all day spam that move. It didn't affect her at all. But now because he has 20 damage since season 3, I'd say it's a bad matchup. Kunimitsu, I would say it's an even matchup. He can punish, for example, moves like her forward 3-3, the low one, which has super good range. Of course, she also got a stupid power crush like Bob, which I think actually now is the best power crush in the game. It also high evades, but not only that, it screws. It is fully homing, and it's a mid as well. So, of course, it is. It doesn't tell ballerina spins as well. Actually, they should actually make it ballerina spin because a bit less of a wall split if they really want to nerf it. But yeah, like a power crush is like it's like Bob's times 2 because of its homing ability now. So that's crazy. So maybe you could put her here, but I feel like her lows can be somewhat lackluster. So I would say it's here. She really has to commit to do good lows. King, I would say, is a even matchup. I would say it's an even matchup because of Bob and King both have great range. I don't feel like there's any advantage between them. Maybe you could say it's here because Bob has great panic moves. But yeah, it could be here, but I'll put it here. Kumra / Panther, both of them bad matchups for Bob because Bob can again punish them very well with back 2-2 in their bear stance, and just in general, Bob can also punish a lot of their moves with his great range, and 4-4-2 is like super annoying against them because of the minimal movement they have. So yeah. Last, as I would say, is a even matchup. Nothing really special about it. I think there's no advantages against each other. Maybe Bob has better lows as well against Lars, of course. He got better range than Lars, so maybe you could also say it's here, but I feel like Bob has a hard time to launch punish Lars if he doesn't do the craziest of things. Unless if he whiffs, of course. But yeah, Law, it used to be here, but because of season 4 of his CD4 and down 2-3 and off forward 4, many people actually say he's down 4 or down 1. Sorry, it's like super good or something, but it hasn't changed actually. Yes, it's safe though. And it's +7, but the +7 doesn't mean anything because he was +5 before, and the -9 didn't mean anything because I could tell you, like, I think it was like 30% of the cast could consistently punish Bob's down 1, which is -11 in full crouch. Bob was in full crouch, by the way, not the characters. So therefore, no character could consistently punish it. Of course, 2Ds could always punish it. Gigas could act, even though he has the best long range deck jab, he couldn't consistently punish it. Elisa could also consistently punish it all the time. So yeah. Yo, a new follower, man. Flower TK, thank you so much for following, man. Right now, just doing a Bob best to worst matchup. So yeah, this is so far how it looks like. So yeah, man, how are you doing? I'm doing great, man. Just finished school and now I'm just doing studying. Sorry, and now I'm just playing some Tekken. I couldn't find an opponent before, so that's why I did this now. But I think after I'm done with this, I will find an opponent. So yeah. Oh, this is a matchup tier list for Bob. Yeah, it's a matchup tier list for Bob. I'll upload it later to YouTube for all of it. I think it's a long time since I've uploaded to YouTube, so I think I should do that. Next up, yeah, I'll put your character in bad matchups for Bob. Because I feel like Lee has like super good keep out tools, like back 4, down 3, 4-4. So therefore, like it's like very hard for Bob to come into Lee or like do mix-ups against Lee. Also feel like he has very great punishment. Of course, he's 1-3-3-3, which now does 41 damage of 47 damage. Absolutely ridiculous. Of course, has execution, but the execution is way lower than it used to be in season 1. Season 1, I think it was like super hard in season 1, but I think in season 2 they made it easier, I think. So yeah, but I think it's a bad matchup. It's not the worst, but it's a bad matchup. If you wouldn't mind, could you explain why Lee is a bad matchup? Yeah, I explained it. Yeah. Not bad for Lee, but bad for Bob. So that's important. That good matchups mean like good matchups for Bob, and bad matchups mean bad matchups for Bob. So that's yeah. So I think so yeah. But I think because also Bob has gotten like super crazy buffs this season, then you could sometimes make it here. But I would say if it's like a very good Lee, then it's here. So yeah. It's not in order, by the way. It's not in order at all. So yeah. Lay, I would say, is even, because Bob has got a great range. Lay normally has great range. He of course has full free Lay, which is super good long with furniture. And he got hell sweep is like super good at basically homing hell sweep. But I think Jerry Lay doesn't have great range, and because Bob has got Wall Rising 2-1, which I think is like pretty useful against Lay, then I feel like it's an even matchup. It could also be here in a good matchup for Bob because of CD1 and good ranges, which I could put it here. Let's put it here though. I feel like it's sometimes too good for Bob. Not a godlike, but a good matchup. Acid Rain is pretty OP if you know it. It really does carry me. Oh man, it's really good. But yeah, I can of course I can some like 50-50 do it, but like it's like super good this season. I think the only thing they should make it so that it's like 37 damage. 37 damage would still be a lot, but it would be good damage. I think that would be good to do. 37 damage instead of 47. That's crazy. 47. Yeah. So yeah, okay. It's pretty good. Lee's like very good this season. He's been very good since season 2, like Bob as well. But Bob, I feel like Bob was like Bob. Like there was no problems. There was nothing wrong with Bob. He was all fine. You never needed to nerf him or buff him in season 3. The only thing you needed to do there was actually make 2 hitbox fixes with offload 3 and offload 1+2 to lower the hitbox, because you could never really low crush the opponent. So that was the only thing complained about Bob. But other than that, he was like pretty like balanced. Like he was maybe the best balanced character that season, I think. So yeah. Leo, I think it's even matchup. There's nothing special. Advantages between those two. They're both pretty similar actually. They both got a great health sweep, great poking, great knockdowns, great lows. So I feel like they're like Leo is like, if you want to be more stance heavy, then Leo is your character. But if you want like wave dash, then Bob is your character. I feel like they're very similar. Next up is Leroy. Of course, that's a worst matchup because of parry. Because of his parry tools, he's crazy good. Leroy, I think his worst matchup for every character. No need for explanation. You could though be like Bob can launch punish his down back 4, which is -14, so that's pretty good. But I feel like in general that's not enough. Leroy won't be spamming that all the time. They'll mostly be spamming down 3-4, which is like super good. Leroy is a pain, exactly, man. He's a pain. He'll be worst matchup for every character almost. Maybe if it against the Kumra, then it would be maybe even. So yeah. And Lily, I would say, is a good matchup because she doesn't have good tracking at all. Her range is decent, but Bob got better. 4-4-2 is like a real pain against her. Bob can really like just relaxedly play against her. She isn't really a threat against Bob. He can she got some strength. She's like pretty easy to launch punish with Bob. So yeah, I feel like she's pretty good. I feel like Bob is a good matchup for Lily. Next up is Lucky Chloe, and I feel like that's a good matchup. You could also argue that's a godlike matchup for Bob, because of back two, which hits her out of Cali roll in float state, which is like super good. It's kind of also like Xiaoyu. So yeah, you could also say it's a godlike matchup actually. Her lows isn't like the best. Her like best lows are somewhat slow. In a way, I think it's like 23 frames or something like that. So yeah, I feel like that's a godlike matchup. But you could also argue maybe it's a good matchup, but a godlike matchup for Bob. Next up is Xiaoyu. No need to explain. Everyone knows this. The only reason Ulsan, for example, doesn't pick Bob against him is because what he does with his back two can Safina also do against her. So her down foot one also hits her from AOP, I think. But like again, Bob has like super many moves which is low hitting mid. 442 is like you just search Bob versus Xiaoyu in TVT. I can't really remember. It's like a American major. Why is Geese a bad matchup for Bob? What up, Pablo? How you doing? Geese is like it's a bad matchup for Bob, not vice versa. I just want to say that clear. Like it's good for Geese, not good for Bob. I would say it's a good matchup for Geese, or it's a bad matchup for Bob, because of how Bob isn't like super safe in general. So therefore, I feel like I get hit way more with down 2-1, down 2 forward 1, sorry, way more than I would do with other characters I play. Geese of course got down 2, which Bob can launch punish, but I feel like Geese players doesn't use that anymore. I also feel like, of course, Bob can launch punish moves in his strings. For example, 2 forward, I think it's quarter circle back 2, and then the 3 or the 4. He can very much launch punish the high there. But I still feel like Geese is like, I really have to be careful when I play versus Geese, because how easy it is just to Geese to launch Bob. I also feel like back 2-1, back 3-2 is like super good against Bob as well. You can launch Geese down 2 as well. Yeah, I said that I can launch that up, but I don't. But like since season 3 or season 4, I haven't seen like Geese players against me use down 4. So I wouldn't really. Yes, it's launch punishable, but they don't use it against me. So you could be like it's a factor, but like if they don't use it and they still win, then it's not a factor. So yeah, he also got great poking, which is like with his down forward ones. He's of course Bob can consistently punish moves which other characters can't, like down forward 4 with 4-2-3. Of course, you could say, if you want to, that Bob and Geese are even. But I do want to put him here because I do feel like I have to be very patient against Geese. Yeah. Alright, next character, we got Raven. I feel like that's a good matchup for Bob because I hope that explains it. Have none. If you disagree, then just let me know. Then we can sort it out. then maybe you have some points which I didn't know or something. Just let me know. Um, um, Raven, I feel like it's a good matchup for Bob because unlike a lot of characters, that Bob can actually punish super heavily. Raven's quarter circle 4 because it does some pushback, but Bob can always punish it with back 2-2-4-4, which is like a full 13 frame string, so he can always punish that. The same goes for when she's in back turn a lot. Um, I don't feel like he can also specifically punish down back 4, which is like a super good move from Raven, unless if you can launch punish it. But for Bob, he can launch punish it, so therefore it's very dangerous to throw it out with Raven. So I feel like it's a good matchup for Bob. Then we got Miguel, which I think it's an even. You could also sometimes say it's a bad matchup because of how good poking Miguel has. But it's also not like super dangerous poking he has. It's not like Bob where he can knock you down all the time. But his poking is like pretty good. His lows are pretty good. He has actually pretty good punishment now. Forward 2-1 is like super good. It has decent range, but like the advantage afterwards is like crazy. Especially with Savage Stance, it's basically a mix-up. So yeah, I would say and his movement backdash. I think Miguel actually has the best backdash. Someone said, someone recorded a video or something explaining that Miguel has the best backdash. I'm not sure if it's true, but it could be true that he has the best backdash in the game. Maybe Safina has the best. I don't know. And not Korean backdash, but I think it was like just backdash. Then he has the best one, but I'm not sure. But that's only what I've heard. Next character is Safina, and I mean Nina, and I feel like there's no advantages between those two. You could maybe also argue that she's in a bad matchup for Bob because of her great poking and her safe lows. Not safe lows, but she got good lows, which Bob can really. Bob can generally not like punch a lot against Nina. And she got like great mids, and of course she doesn't have the best range sometimes, but I don't think that's a disadvantage for her. But I would put her in even matchups though. Yoshimitsu, I feel like that's pretty even. I don't feel like there's any advantage for Bob. Maybe Power Crush is way better because against Yoshimitsu, because his 13 frame isn't like super good. It's only down forward 1-4, which is like +3 or something, and 30 damage, which is like fine, but it doesn't really have anything to knock you down with, like some as punishment. I mean, fast punishment. Also feel like you have to be a lot of you don't really have to be a lot of patient against Yoshimitsu, but I feel like it's even. Shaheen, I feel like it's a bad matchup because of how safe he is and great range he has. Therefore, it's pretty bad for Bob. He's like generally very safe, and he has good tracking as well, like Bob. Paul is a even matchup, I would say. You could also argue that's a good matchup for Bob, because how easy he can punish moves, like for example Demolition Man. I think a lot of characters in this game can actually not punish it. I think it's like a very problematic move when it comes to punishment because a lot of characters can't. They have to do like some crazy things. Bob can easily just punish with 4-4-2 if you want to be cool, or just off forward 1+2 1+2, which is like easy, consistent every time. So you could actually say, and he also can launch punish quarter circle 3, which is like super important. So I would actually put him in good matchups, not in even. So yeah, next up is Noctis. I feel like that could be even because he's like quite safe, but also feel like because he doesn't have great panic tools, he got down for 2, which is like a somewhat panic tool, but smites 20. He doesn't have a deck jab, which I feel like is a huge disadvantage. Meaning, I think Noctis players, like actual Noctis players, if they want one thing, it would be a dick jab, because I feel like dick jab is like super underrated, because you can't really high crush for anything. Um, Down four and dick jabs are like pretty important in this game, especially down four. Like you see down four used so much in high play. Like it's actually crazy, especially as a round ender, because it's 12 frame. It gives like 7 damage, which is like a jab damage. If you do it twice, it's 14. So yeah, it's actually like 10 damage. So it's 17 damage, because the second down one is like from crouch, which is more minus, I think, but it's 3 damage more. So I think, is there anything, if any of you guys disagree or anything, I think that could be it. I would say this is perfect. Not perfect, but it's good. It's good. Yeah, I would say throughout Bob's 4 seasons, then I would say there was way more characters. I think maybe 10 or something that would be in worst matchups for Bob because of his War Rising 4, which was like, I think was like top 5 worst War Rising punishes in the game. Like it was like super bad. So therefore it made some matchups like super unfair against Bob, like Dragunov, because he couldn't really punish like well against Dragunov's down 2 at the time. But throughout the time where Bob got buffs and some fair buffs, of course in season 4 it didn't get fair buffs. I also think CD1 shouldn't be a launcher, a natural launcher. I don't think down to 1 should be safe. It's very nice that it's safe, but I think if it should be safe, then they should remove the forehead string. It's all mid, so yeah, if you wanted to make it safe, then it remove the 2-head string. But I want the 2-head string because it's Bob. I love Bob because he's Bob. I don't love him because he's broken, stupid character now. So yeah, I would like that to be -10 as it used to be in season 1, where down to 1 was -10, and then down to 1 2 is -10 as well. So I like that way more than than minus now. So it was like more Bob. Now I feel like Bob is more like this guy. I feel like they really wanted to make him like Devil Jin. Like they looked at Devil Jin and be like, okay, what's Devil Jin good at? He has a launching hell sweep. Let's give Bob a counter hit variation of his hell sweep, where the 4 is a counter hit launcher. But of course that's useless. You're not gonna fish for that. That's stupid. Of course, yeah, it's like a useless thing. But it's still like it looked like they wanted to make him Devil Jin, like, down 2-1. Okay, let's give him back because Devil Jin has down forward 1-2, which is also super good. He doesn't have electric. Okay, let's give him CD1 back. It's like these kind of things. I don't like it. I want Bob to be season 3 Bob, but with 2 hitbox fixes, as I've said before. But I think that is it from the matchup tier list. I will upload this later to YouTube. I should have recorded it while I was